Welcome to Happiness in the City. This is Barbara, and today I'd like to focus our attention on the word wisdom and what the contents of this word means. And it is a very complicated concept. I encourage you to read the article in Wikipedia, as usually, very well written. But the word wisdom is very powerful in all cultures of the world. Today, we have a situation that people use the word justice as if the word wisdom didn't exist. So a lot of justice focus became a form of forcing will to achieve certain purposes, and there is no love of justice, and there is no wisdom accompanying the applications of justice. So I think it is a very important thing to talk about it. Here is the concept as it is in Wikipedia. You have it here. Wisdom. Wisdom, sapience, or sagacity is the ability to think and act using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. So you have here focus on relationship between wisdom and thinking and then acting. So here it is. So we have to understand that the current wave of focusing on justice actually created injustice. Gazillions of divisions, people who used to be friends hating each other, all kinds of attitudes to be vicious, to complain, and it seems to be a never-ending way to solve situations in life that require love and wisdom. So we have a situation in which focus on justice created almost blockage on thinking and then acting upon what logos reason would come about as solution. There is a very powerful writer in political philosophy. Her name is Hannah Arendt. And I encourage you to watch on YouTube the video in which she talks about Eichmann in Jerusalem book that she wrote, and the way Nazis in their thinking about justice and authority were using justice to justify Holocaust, huge crimes that they committed that actually could only stop by military actions from many countries that applied war methods to end it. So what was supposed to be justice became a horrible crime. And one of the things that Hannah Arendt is focusing on is that they were not thinking. In other words, they were not using any wisdom to justify their action. So thinking is very powerfully connected with the way we should look at reality around us. Thinking first and then applying it in the right way to all kinds of methods of justice. There's one also definition. Those of you who are Roman Catholics know about books of wisdom, and one priest sent it to me. That in wisdom it's beautiful. It's from wisdom books that I encourage you to read. It's only in Roman Catholic versions of the Bible. There are 6 extra books that exist in the Roman Catholic version of the Bible, in contrast to other versions of the Bible. And wisdom is one of those books that is there. And this is the quote from Wisdom 7:22. In wisdom is a spirit intelligent, holy, unique, manifold, subtle, agile, clear, unstained, certain, not baneful, loving the good, keen, unhampered, beneficent, kindly, firm, secure, tranquil, all-powerful, all-seeing, and pervading all spirits. Isn't it beautiful? I was so amazed when I read that, because wisdom as a concept needs spirit that moves it. And I encourage you to read the books of wisdom and see how our public conversation can focus on complexity of the spirit that is in wisdom, and try to find ways of solving our difficult situation in the spirit of wisdom. One of the most powerful parts here is that spirit of wisdom is all powerful, is all seeing. So vision is very important. Power, vision, all seeing, and pervading all spirits. And this is very important because it means that spirit of wisdom doesn't have to ban any spirits. It pervades them with loving kindness, love of good, and ability to connect. So we have a situation today when justice is used to ban people, isolate, exclude those who disagree with us, or cause some sort of trouble, or somehow are in a different dimension in their understanding. But spirit of wisdom has capacity to pervade all spirits, which means everybody's accepted. Isn't it beautiful? Everybody's accepted. When we study history of King Solomon, and King Solomon is famous because God gave him spirit of wisdom. And it was a very interesting a way in which God showed his love of royal authority. And in this particular case, the wisdom of King Solomon was so powerful that it made all members of his kingdom tranquil and peaceful. And for himself, he did not know really how to apply it in his personal life. But he knew how to apply it for the kingdom. And I'd like you to really understand that, because many politicians today are attacked for their problems in their personal lives. But it doesn't mean they are bad politicians. They are they're a little bit like King Solomon in the way that they know how to apply goodness to others, and they don't know how to deal with goodness in themselves. So we have to have wisdom on that too, because there are many people, sometimes people in executive power of many corporations, who created incredible good, made millions of employees successful, and then gave them opportunities to have income so that they can have their families and joyful life. And then they messed up in their personal life. And today, there's a lot of attack on those people, as if that fact that they didn't know how to apply wisdom to themselves would make all the other things that they accomplished in the same dimension as their personal matters. So we have to have a lot of loving understanding that the presence of the Spirit of wisdom can bring a lot of good, and just because it doesn't bring good to everybody or to the person who is using the Spirit of wisdom, it doesn't mean that all of that benefit and love and accomplishments and wisdom and knowledge and understanding that Spirit of wisdom brings should be destroyed. So I'm trying to show you the way out of the current situation in which there's a lot of vicious hatred around authority, around opinion of others, even presence of others. And the reason is because of that focus on justice alone. And that is not a good thing. There is place for justice, but wisdom should be given priority, because wisdom is the one spirit that stimulates thinking and then allows to analyze the situation before action is taken, and then the action is wise and comes from the right place, from the loving authority, not from vengeance or from hatred. So we have to restore within us respect for the Spirit of wisdom, but also desirability. That kind of spirit of wisdom that I'm talking about can only be given by God. And I've been praying for this spirit, and I feel that God gave it to me, but it has taken a lot of effort to go in that direction. In the meantime, I've done a lot of focus on wisdom from other sources. I've spent years studying history of political philosophy, world religions, world political philosophies from all over the world, in search of wisdom. And then I came to the conclusion that really I don't have, and those places don't have what King Solomon had. So I've been asking God for that grace of that spirit. And I think that one of the ways in which there's a difference between divine spirit of wisdom and other kinds of spirits is that divine spirit of wisdom comes with divine love. And this is a very powerful spirit of love in connection with spirit of wisdom, because it allows all of us, all creation, including the earth, to feel God's love in daily life. One of the important ways in which we can help the earth is to love it, to love the earth before the judgment on the earth is issued. So once again, wisdom is key, because it's a spirit that shows all life how to live in tranquility and joy. So I think that in today's world, where we have so many blockages and so many channels of communication stopped, and there's a lot of strange attitude to ban other people, that we can stop it by having that grace from God to manifest within us spirit of God's wisdom, and that spirit of God's wisdom loves to connect to everybody. One of the ways in which you can see the presence of that spirit of wisdom is that even plants, animals feel it. My grandmother, Janina, she had it. So I know exactly what I've been asking God for. And that spirit of wisdom from God was so powerful that when she touched trees, they would just be very fertile and beautiful and healthy and strong. The same with people and the earth itself pulsating with life. So the spirit of wisdom from God brings lots of light and life to us. And right there, this can create a lot of peace and tranquility, because many of the struggles today are about fear connected with life. Whether somebody's scared of getting sick, or not having strength to work, or being overstressed. There's so much fear now around matters of life, and there's no presence of spirit of God's wisdom. When we have it, it comes with loving light and life and the right measure of things. So people can create tranquility in their lives within the context of spirit of wisdom pervading and connecting with all spirits. And then we don't have to have that many applications for action to punish somebody, because most of the things are solved through other ways, loving ways. And I think that this message is what everybody needs to know about, the message from Book of Wisdom about God's spirit of wisdom. Politicians all over the world need it, the public needs it, everybody on social media needs it. And one of the things that I'd like to see is that people will understand complexity of decision making of many people and complexities in their lives. Once again, I say, just because a person made mistake in his or her personal life doesn't mean that all the wonderful things that were created in their lives are of no value. That would create actually another injustice, because a lot of people who create great things have many people involved in those productions or those enterprises. So to destroy companies over someone's personal life mistakes shows lack of wisdom. And I think that when we see the value of the spirit of wisdom from God, we'll never want to have anything lesser than that. And we are connected all over the world through internet, so it's easy to have the spirit of wisdom from God to reach all of us, not only directly through life force and God's presence in our lives, but also through communication channels. And that allows Spirit of Wisdom to teach us, to provide knowledge and intelligence and thinking and understanding that will help us with our own personal lives, but also to have compassion with lives of other people, and also to know how we can differentiate accomplishments according to the outcomes, and not to be so filled with condemnations for mistakes that human nature is prone to make. So instead of focusing on punishment and judgments and condemnations, let's focus first on wisdom, on Spirit that allows us to have knowledge, that helps us to think before we act, and that any action would focus on the intelligent understanding of consequences of our intentions and decisions. One of the things that is happening today is that some people want to use the system of justice to destroy very successful companies, and they don't understand that their action is very similar to what Eichmann was doing in Nazi Germany, that they would apply system of justice without thinking about consequences to destroy something just because they can do it. And I think that with a Spirit of Wisdom, something like this would not be possible, because people involved in the system of justice would first think, ask God for His light and His love on a given matter of justice, love justice first, love all participants involved, and then create actions or avoid actions when there's just no need to apply punishment where praise should be created. So in closing, I wanted all of us to develop sensibility and senses for praise. And that is what we really need to do. And that would be when wisdom talks about all-seeing, sense of vision. When we look at each other, we should try to find the best in each other. We should have that kind vision, that loving vision of everything around us, including ourselves. Because if that vision is filled with anger and is not filled with love first, then there is no justice, there's just destruction. So the Spirit of Wisdom helps to give us vision so that we know what is the life that is involved in making decisions. This book of Proverbs, in Proverbs there's this very powerful statement that says, my people, God says, my people perish because of lack of vision. So vision is essential for survival. And I know that it's very strange, but we put blinders on justice. I think it's not right, because then justice is blind. Justice shouldn't be blind. Justice should be intelligently informed by Spirit of Wisdom. And the Spirit of Wisdom should provide the right vision for the for justice, so that the outcomes are right, not because justice is blind, but because justice is virtuous and good. One of the most powerful aspects of God's spirit of wisdom is purity. And in today's society, there is a lot of desire for it. There's a lot of call for purity. But using the system of justice to achieve purity by punishing those who are considered impure is not going to do anything. It just creates spiral of more impurity. To create purity in relationships, in words, we need spirit of justice from God, spirit of justice that is informed by spirit of wisdom with purity. So then that spirit of God's wisdom and his purity brings purity to the system of justice, and that clears the system of justice from that very strange focus on seeing everything as impure. In other words, there's virtually no sense of innocence in the spirit of justice that is impure. Spirit of innocence has to come from virtue and purity of divine wisdom that is loving, that is non-judgmental. Thank you so much for listening to those remarks, and I'll see you here next week for another edition of Happiness and the City. Thank you, and